Welcome back to the show. As you know, yesterday was Mother's Day, and if you've watched the show occasionally, you know that I have a tendency to, well, make fun of my mother. Mostly because she refused to watch the show for the longest time. So, before I bring her on, I'm just going to show you a couple clips of me discussing my love for my mother. And you have this woman, you call grandma, I call mom. It's such a weird concept to have parents watch your show because I haven't had
You can't relate to that, huh?
My mother, I do believe, and this was not going to help matters any, is deathly afraid of this. I think my whole family...
Afraid of the show?
My whole family is deathly afraid of this show. I don't get it. What caused this panic? Has Grandma done this to you before?
No, mainly she just likes to kiss me.
Yes.
And she likes to embarrass me.
Does she? Yeah. Because that's funny, because I grew up with your grandma, and she never kissed me as a child. But just kidding, just kidding.
They're just afraid of you becoming so powerful and so it's such an influence on the youth of America today.
Well, I think their biggest fear is that my mom's biggest worry is that, you know, all of her flaws in parenting have probably come out on this show from what I've done. So your grandmother's blackmailing you for kisses. I'm the child that, you know, my mom's turned around going, he was such a good boy. I don't know what I did wrong. I thought he would be the one to turn down normal. Mom would be so proud if she would acknowledge that I existed. All right, now that you caught that, the suspense is over. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Antimans Mother. Good to have you on the show. Nice to meet you.
Yes,
nice to meet you. There you go. Plug yourself in there. Don't fall down. Okay, well, now welcome to the show. As you know, there's been some disparaging remarks made about you on this show, so you're probably here. Are you here to defend yourself?
I am here to defend myself, yes.
You brought a bag of something, which kind of concerns me. But before we get on, we have to discuss, you're a very private woman. You know, you're a brave woman. When you were a young woman, you braved the wilderness of Idaho and came out to Eugene and built a very respectable reputation for yourself in this community, correct? I consider you a high-class Crestwell socialite.
That's true. That's very true.
So
yes.
you've established a respectable persona in this town. So is it mortifying that your son comes on television every week and does the stuff that he does?
Let me explain to you about my son. First off, this man sitting behind this desk is not my child.
I am your child.
On November 6, 1975, I gave birth to this beautiful little boy right here. He had adorable blonde curly hair, big blue eyes.
Beautiful child.
Sweet, charming thing.
Yes.
That his mother held so tightly in her arms.
Right, yeah. I remember that kid. Great kid.
And the child grew.
Yes.
He's an adorable, cute little thing, as you can see here.
Once again, you just want to cuddle him.
Yes,
he was adorable little pictures.
He was very cuddle. I cuddled him. I hugged him. I loved him. I kissed him a lot, no matter what he says.
I think we're starting to see the root of the problem here. All right. Yes.
That could be.
Yes.
Of course, this could be the problem too. This has where he sleeps with Cookie Monster and his cowboy boots on his hand. This was the first sign the child was starting to go bad.
I see no problem with that. I was letting Cookie Monster have the pillow. I thought that was very sensitive of me.
Well, and as he grew,
yes,
you know, first he takes on wearing Superman underwear.
Right.
You know, that was bad enough.
Right.
Then he switches to being the Lone Ranger and Batman at the same time. Okay. Now, it's right about this time that I start getting suspicious that something is going on.
I have a reasonable...
And my child...
Yes. I have a reasonable excuse for that. I have a reasonable excuse, though. I got the Superman and the Lone Ranger outfit, or Batman and the Lone Ranger, at the same time. I was conflicted. I didn't know which costume to wear.
You be quiet. I'm telling the story.
I'll just be over here on my show.
Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
You see, and this is where I fell down about this age. I fell down because instead of making him listen to Brahms' Lullaby, I allowed the child to watch Star Wars.
Many youth were corrupted because of that.
This is where I made my first mistake. Because then one of these alien forces started invading my adorable, sweet little child. You can see here, he is turning into Chewbacca.
Hey, at least I wasn't Jar Jar Binks.
At this time, you know, the child also had Yoda living under his bed. Now, not everybody understands this, but He had a little shoebox under his bed, and this was Yoda's bed, and Yoda slept with him and was his mentor for many years.
And when we moved out to the ranch, he lived in the pond.
That's right, and
he
would take visits. He would go out from underneath your bed to the pond, yes.
He was a good Jedi
This
master.
is where the dark side first started seeping in to Dustin. You know, and then he gets on this crazy, where he wants to be a rock star.
Right, yeah,
You see?
with my Sean Cassidy guitar.
So he has his that is a Sean Cassidy guitar, but still this is a pretty sweet, lovable child here. Okay, now through the years, if you've noticed, he's a little bit political. He has his own political views of things. That started back when we let him be a pilgrim, when he was in kindergarten. That's where that really went astray.
So it's the Puritanism in me as well. Now, yeah.
I have been accused through the years of ruining my child's life because I made him wear polyester plaid pants. Now, I want you to notice with this picture, he was very well dressed in his polyester plaid pants, his matching tie, and his beautiful green shirt.
There is nothing well about that outfit at all. Nothing.
That was my lovable, adorable little boy. You know, now here is his loving sister who's styling his hair.
Yes.
For his Motley Crue shirt.
Right here, keep showing that
You
one
can
right
see
there.
him going to school here. He has on a Motley Crue shirt and his Indiana Jones lunchbox. This point in his life, I was sure that the dark side was taking over here.
How old was I in that picture? About 12. I went as Nikki Sixx for Halloween that year, too.
Well, if you were 12, you were awfully short for 12.
Yes.
But this one also shows how demented the child is becoming at this time in his life. This time I know my real child is slipping away. And as you can see, there were glimpses back through time when my real child came back to me, like this time when he's throwing rocks off the tractor scoop.
I look really cool in that picture.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Then there was this time when he played basketball.
Uh-huh.
Had his little Trent shirt on. When he went to Trent, he played basketball. And of course, this was his kids' sports basketball picture when his mother was so proud of him. She looks out on the floor and he has his shoes on the wrong feet.
And in the team picture, you can see my underwear.
Probably, and it was still his Superman underwear.
Yep, it was.
He was very fond of
Superoos.
those. He wore them for many
Loved
years.
my Superoos.
Yes. And I want you to know that as he grew up, the dark side started taking over more and more. And sometime in the early 90s, my child disappeared. Completely disappeared.
It was the grunge movement.
Because my real child,
this
was one of his favorite toys.
What?
His little strawberry animals.
That's Huckleberry Pie.
Huckleberry Pie. Yes, I've been forced to keep this through the years for him.
Can I make the note that I never watched the Strawberry Shortcake cartoon? I just want to make that clear
and of
right
course,
now.
This was his Mork from Ork that talked. Obviously, it talked too much because it's
now it sounds like The Exorcist when you play it.
That's true. Yes. And then, of course, we went through the Ronald McDonald time with Dustin.
Yes. Put in the whistle.
You see, I don't know that the whistle works anymore. It's been in my closet for a number of years. This was the child that I loved and adored. The one who liked Ronald McDonald.
I'm supporting the evil corporate America by having the Ronald McDonald doll.
And my real son.
Your real son would
my
never.
real son was an avid Oregon Duck
you
fan.
You can't prove that. That
Yes,
never,
I can.
Ever happened.
This was what was left of my son. He loved the Oregon Ducks.
Never.
I took him to an Oregon Duck game when he was just a child, and he
prove
loved
that.
it.
There is no
he
proof.
He loved the Oregon Ducks.
That's slanderous right there.
No, that's not. Now, he did have a few faults, you know.
Those are all you pointed out to me during my childhood.
As he came on through life, you know, he had this obsession with his socks and his shoes.
Right.
I don't understand about this, but he had to keep all of his socks. And when they got holes in them, he stuffed them under his bed.
I'm very loyal to my socks. Socks and me go back, you know. I just don't discard them when there's like holes in them.
Your mother's speaking.
I'm sorry. I'll be over here.
Good idea.
Continue.
That's a very good idea.
Continue talking.
Okay. And even when he graduated from high school, you know, you take them in to have their pictures taken, and they take something that they remember from their life. Dustin took his tennis shoes. Now, there was a nice, lovely side of my son then, and I want to show you that he even had dates back then. The girls actually went out with him. He wore a tuxedo.
This is an exclusive. We should show the close-up of this.
This is a very exclusive, yes.
The anti-man on a date.
He's clean. He has on fresh socks and shoes and actually a tuxedo.
Yeah, but look at that grin. I look absolutely dorky in that picture. I mean, you can just tell I'm not...
Actually, this is my real son, the one that was sweet and charming and kind to everyone. Yes.
And with the geeky smile.
And so, you see, as the years have gone on, the alien forces, the dark side, has taken over.
The devil. Just say the devil.
I gave birth to.
Just say Satan possessed.
The only thing that I have left is an old beat-up tennis shoe that he loved with all his heart.
And if you'll notice,
more than his mother.
If you'll notice the hay on that could really show me how I led to the dark side. Is all the haying I did.
And I'm convinced that my real son went to the moon of whatever.
Wicked.
And this is all I have left of my wonderful son, is this little Ewok.
Hey, actually,
yes.
let me
and
see.
I think to this day that my real son is embodied in an Ewok. And I have no clue who this man is.
Hey, can I explain something, though? Let me tell you how good of a kid I was. Can I see Wicked for a second there?
No, this is my son.
All right, okay. I'm just saying that
I don't know you. You're no relation to me.
You know, this began...
My real son was taken away from me many years ago.
You keep saying this because you don't want to be blamed for any of this, and I understand that. I wouldn't want to be blamed for it either. But, you know, the first time you watched...
Who is this stranger here this time? He's acting like I'm his mother.
I'm the host of the show. Now, remember...
That's true. You're the host of the show.
I'm the host of the show.
You are not my son.
It doesn't seem like I'm the host of the show right now, but I am. And I remember, though, the first time that you caught any of my shows, you caught a sketch comedy show I did, and I get this phone call. And it was quite an interesting phone call, because I get a phone call, and there's a woman who sounded a lot like my mother on the phone, going, Dusty, you're ill.
Dustin was ill.
You were very ill. Now, all it was a gay...
Now, see, I can tell you about back in time when this started, when his mind first started going. That was probably the time that he fell down the sidewalk and got a concussion in his head because he was gawking off instead of paying attention to what he was doing. Or there's the time he fell off the bicycle with his sister and cracked his head open. I think that probably helped a little bit.
Then there's the time my brother dropped me. I was dropped on my head.
Then there's the time that his brother dropped him on his head. Now, I need to explain this to you. I'm at work. I'm a very busy person. I get this phone call from my older son who says, Mom, I've dropped Dustin on his head and he's bleeding to death. And so, of course, I jump in my car. I go racing home. And I get home.
Yeah.
And Dustin and Jody are covered in blood from top to bottom, dried, crusty, ugly blood. I go rushing in there thinking my child is dead, and he's sitting in the living room watching cartoons, eating chicken noodle soup.
With dried blood in my hair.
With dried blood.
Hey, I'm a resourceful kid.
Didn't bother to wash his hands.
Well, no, because I had to eat the chicken soup.
And you see, the aliens were taking him at this point because had he been my child, he would have washed his face and hands before he ate the soup.
You know, you're the one who's been talking about aliens this entire time. I think the audience will be wondering about you in a little bit there. I was just saying.
That's what happened to you. You notice I'm dressed in black.
3 head injuries. I think that explains a lot.
You notice I'm dressed in black because I am mourning my son.
Mourning your son.
The son that I lost.
You wanted, I understand that, you know, you wanted that good son that listened to country music.
That sweet child that liked country music.
That was going to be married at 25.
That's right. Was going to give me six granddaughters.
I never promised that.
Promised me he would give me 6 granddaughters.
Once again, it's the duck thing. I never have any recollection of this memory whatsoever.
You were an avid duck fan, I remember.
Not an avid duck fan.
My real son would be an avid duck fan because I'm an avid duck fan.
But you know, I've been told that I'm kind of an interesting guy. And
by who?
By a lot of people. Most people who watch this show. I have a big fan following.
Obviously no one that I know or would associate with.
Well, if anybody would like to write how wonderful I am to this show, I will send them to my mother. So if you want to defend me out there, that I'm a good kid.
If he finds his real mother.
Yes.
Because she lives somewhere in outer space, because I do not even know this man.
I'm beginning to wonder if I know this woman. All right. Thank you, Patty.
Oh, you're most welcome, Dustin.
Very good to meet you.
Yes, I just wanted to make it real plain. I am not the mother to Antimans.
That's right. I was born out of a petri dish. Okay. We'll be back in a second with more Tales from the Anti-Man.